Hey guys, it's Mr. Allen. One more week and it is summer. How exciting! I have a math lesson for you today, so let's dive right in. Okay, so today's math lesson is 8-3 Factors of Counting Numbers. This will be my last math lesson for you guys this year. So let's begin with some mental math here. 2 times what equals 10? Right, that is 5. 18 equals question mark times 9. Should have said 2 there. And 3 times question mark equals 30. That is 10. Question mark times 3 equals 18. Answer 6. How about 8 times question mark equals 64? You guessed it, it's 8. And the last one, 36 equals question times 4. And the answer there is 9. Our math message says Jonah packed 16 bottles of juice into cartons. How could she pack the bottles so that each carton has an equal number of bottles with none left over? Show your thinking, and using pictures or arrays, then write your number model for each of your representations. There's several different ways that we could do this. We could start off with just making one row of 16 bottles. As shown here. And that would be one row of 16. We could also do 2 rows of 8, as shown here. That's 2 of 8. Notice that there's still 16 total. I cannot do 3 because 3 times 5 is 15, but I can do 4 rows of 4. And that would be 4 times 4, which equals 16. All of these are factors of 4. So we have 1, 2, 4, 8, and 16. Okay, so let's move on to the meat of our lesson today, and that is finding factors. Factors are simply the numbers that you can multiply to make another number. Each number has a certain amount of factors. Rather, that is just going times itself with 1, or there's multiple ones in there. So let's look at a factor of 10 here. It says, how could you pack 10 bottles of juice into cartons so that each carton has an equal number of bottles with none left over? None left over is an important part here. It tells us that we have to find the exact factors. So once again, we could say, oh, I know 10 times 1 is 10. That's one of the factors I could put here. This tells me that I have 10 rows of 1. So I could show that right here. 1, 2, 3. There's my 10 rows with 1 in each row. 10 times 1. Now I know that 10 ends in a 0, and that shows me that it is an even number. So I know I could do 2. So I have to think, what times 2 equals 10? The answer is 5. So I could write that down as well. 2 times 5 is a factor of 10. And that tells me that I have 2 rows. And I have 5 in each row. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3. Now, I know 5 is half of 10, so anything past that we would have already covered. On this one, we're supposed to find the factor pairs for 30. All right, so we're looking at pairs for 30 now. And as always, 1 is always an option, so I could do 1 times 30, or 1 row of 30. We could show that right here. That is 1 times 30. Good. Because it ends in a 0, I know that it is an even number, so I can multiply by 2. So I have 2 groups. And if I have 2 groups, it's 2 groups of 15. 2, 3, 4. And there's 15. 2 rows of 15. 2 times 15 is 30. Okay, let's move on. We could go to 3 rows. If I have 3 rows, because it's got a 30 here, I know 3 times 10 is 30, so I have to do 3 rows of 10. 3 times 10 equals 30. Think of 4s. I know 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, and then 28 plus 2 is 30. So I can't do 4 because 4 doesn't go into it evenly. So 4 is not considered a factor for 30. But 5, because it has an ending in 0, 5s, multiples of 5 end in either a 5 or a 0. I know that 5 can fit here. And it would be 5 groups of 6. Okay, so then we look at the next one. The next one would be 6 times 5, which would equal the same thing. So all that we have left is a turnaround facts, because 6 would be the next one here. So our factors for 30 would be 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 15, and 30. So on this next section, we're looking for each problem, and we're filling in the blank with different factor pairs that make the sentence true. We know that factors of any number can be multiplied times 1 to make itself. So for number 1, I'm going to start off with 8 times 1 equals 8. And there we go. 8 times 1 equals 8. I also know that over here, 8 is an even number, so I could have 2 as a multiple. And 2 times 4 equals 8. Over here, I know 18 is also a multiple of 2. So 2, and I know that 2 times 9 is 18. I also know that 3 could go into 18. 3 goes into 18 6 times. 6, 12, 18. 27. For 27, I'm going to do 1 times 27. Remember, 1 is always an option for a factor. Also on 27, I know that I can fit 9 in there. My 9 facts I know because I could do those on my fingers. I've taught you that trick in class. 9 times 3 is 27. Over here, 36. Well, that's a double fact. I know that 6 times 6 is 36. And then over here on this one, let's do that 9 again because I know my 9s. It's 9 times 4. Awesome. Finally down here, 45 ends in a 5, so that I know 5 is a factor there. It's actually 5 times 9. And I also know that I can multiply it by 1. So 1 times 45 is also factors. Good. So we have 18 chairs total that they're putting in equal rows. Obviously, they could do 1 row of 18. Or we could have, because 18 is an even number, 2 rows. And if I have 2 rows, I could count until I get 18. 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 10. 16. 18. So that looks like there's 9 in each one. There's 2 rows of 18. There's 2 rows of 9, which makes it 18 total chairs there. I could also flip these to the sides, so I have 1 row, or I could also use my turnaround facts here and have 18 rows with 1 chair in each one. Or I could do 2 rows, or I could do 9 rows of 2 chairs in each row. And that does it for today's lesson. As always, remember, you are smart, you are kind, you are important, and you are loved. Have a fabulous day, Falcons.